That was a nervy one. 33 points to Scotland, 17 points to Fiji. Scotland get the win, but at halftime they were behind. Fiji with a much better game this time, but realistically, looking at the tour Scotland's had right now, a very successful tour, beating Argentina away from home, going to South Africa, putting up a very good challenge. If Scotland won that game against South Africa, I would have not have been surprised. As a massive Springbok fan myself, I thought Scotland was brilliant that game. Not a good start to this game, but a lot of changes as well. We saw that with Ireland, and against a good team in Fiji as well, but a much better second half performance, a very good second half for Scotland, and deserved winners at the end of the day. For Fiji, very unfortunate for them. A bit disappointed with what I've seen from Fiji throughout the last 3 games. This was a much better performance from Fiji and more of a test match performance, but you have to play 80 minutes of rugby at test match level. You can't just play 30 or 40 or 50 minutes of good rugby and then slack off near the end. You cannot, because it's teams like Scotland, teams like South Africa, New Zealand, Wallabies, Ireland, France, all these incredible teams play for 80 minutes and sometimes even more. So for Fiji, they've got a lot to work on. For Scotland, honestly, a positive tour in my opinion, but let me know your thoughts down below. Please feel free to comment your thoughts down below. So, and if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. I really do appreciate all the support. We've just hit 3,000 subscribers just like this last past week, so I really do appreciate all the support. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, so thank you so much for everything, and I will respond to all the comments. I always do. All the feedback, I really do appreciate it. So 33 points to Scotland, 17 points to Fiji. Let's talk about some of the stats, and then we'll go into some of the player stats as well. So first of all, I like to start with the 22-meter entries. Fiji with 4 entries to the Scotland 22, so still they need to up their game there. They need to somehow find a way in their game plan where they can get into the opposition 22, because what Fiji does very well, and it seems like they're playing some really good rugby, is they play a lot in the middle part of the field, but they don't actually focus on getting towards the 22. They like scoring long range tries as well. So 4 entries here, 4.2 average points per entry, which is very good, very clinical. But 4 entries into the opposition 22 is where you really start to slack. I mean, Scotland, for instance, 13 entries to the opposition 22, only averaging 2.5 points, but still 13 entries versus 4. With those average points, Scotland will always be the better team at the end of the day, and they will always end up being the team with more points on the scoreboard. So I think for Fiji, just for them trying to get more entries into the opposition 22 going forward in some sort of way, whether they have to do a few more variations to their kicking game, a different type of structure, just a bit more clinical in certain parts of the field, because Fiji were really good sporadically throughout the game, in parts throughout the game, in patches, whereas Scotland, when it came to the second half, they were clinical, they picked up the pace, the bench made a good impact, everybody started playing with cohesion, and you could just see that it was like slipping away from Fiji there in the second half. So Scotland with a very good performance, they're very clinical. Looking at the attacking profile, I mean, we've spoken about the entries, obviously the conversions, Fiji converting 4 times in the 22, Scotland twice, line breaks, 11 line breaks for Scotland, 4 for Fiji. So Scotland did very well in this game of containing Fiji. They've got some incredible ball runners, and I felt like Fiji did what I think they actually did better this game. I do know a lot of people want Fiji to spread the ball out wide, be a bit careless with how they play, but I thought Fiji was a lot more compact today, a lot more cohesion in the team. They played a lot more test match type of rugby today, and I thought it really did look good in the first half. It's going to take a while for them playing at this level for them to have 80-minute performances on the regular, because they've played Wales, once again slipped away in the second half. Very poor performance against England, slipped away big time in the second half, and now against Scotland, leading at halftime, slipped away in the second half. So very good first halves, except for the England game, but other than that, they have to play for 80 minutes. So looking at the carries here, 119 carries for Scotland, 87 for Fiji. So Scotland did very well of kind of keeping Fiji away from the ball. You don't want Fiji to play with the ball too much. They starved Fiji of possession, and Scotland paid dividends for doing that. I mean, in the second half, the amount of time Scotland just kept trying to bash the door down, eventually it worked. So you have to give it up for Scotland. They are a very tough team. They will come at you the entire game, and it worked. They absolutely burst down the wall from Fiji, and it's really good to see that Scotland is playing with this much self-belief, confidence, passion, intensity. I mean, it's not just one game either. They thumped England this year. They smashed France this year. Poor game against Italy away from home. Conditions did play a factor. Poor game against Ireland as well. Very good game against South Africa. Beat Argentina away from home and now beat Fiji because they've upped the intensity. The players know their roles. They have more depth in the team. Guys can just come in. I mean, guys like Jamie Dobie. I didn't even know Jamie Dobie was a few years ago. Now playing scrum off from the bench. Sometimes plays wing. He added a good impact. I thought Duan van der Merwe was excellent today. Good ball carrying. Stafford McDowell made a big impact in the second half. Tui Pelotu came on and calmed things down. Tom Jordan was good today. Piers Kuman came on and made a difference. Josh Bayliss as well. But without the main players as well, some of those Rory Dodge players, Jack Dempsey, Matt Fagerson, they still had a very good game in the second half. So with a lot of changes like that happening, I was not surprised to see that the first half score was going Fiji's way, because Fiji is not a team to mess around with. They've got some great players. They just don't have 80-minute... I wouldn't say they don't have 80-minute players, but they don't have the structures right now to last for 80 minutes and play at that level for 80 minutes, especially with the way they throw the ball around. It's very good for the first 50 minutes. Eventually, the opposition teams do understand how to kind of combat the offload game, combat that type of game. So we've seen Fiji get these wins at the World Cups, but it's mainly one-off wins. And I do think this Fiji team can get more consistent wins, consistent close games, if they just tighten it up. And we saw a little bit more of that today, but not where Fiji needs to be. Of course, they need to stick to their natural ability, but they have to be able to go back to that structure and thrive off that structure as well. 18 kicks for Fiji, not really that much variation in the kicks as well, more survival kicks, contestable kicks, just trying to get out of their half and survive. 10 kicks for Scotland, not that many kicks either. Scotland is a very attack-minded team. They're almost like a France type of team where they just want to play the ball from wherever. That's why I really like watching Scotland play. 245 post-contact meters for Scotland, 110 for Fiji, which is very interesting because normally we're talking about line breaks, it would be swayed the other way, but that just shows the attacking prowess of Scotland. They've got some really big players in the backline, guys with really good footwork, guys with really good pace. And for Fiji today, 110 post-contact meters is not where they need to be. So a very good game from Scotland to be able to dominate the contact like that against a very physical team in Fiji. Looking at the other things here, 18 dominant tackles for Fiji. 18. That is the most dominant tackles I've seen all year in one of these games. So very good defensive shots being put in. It's just, where are the structures for that? Yes, they put in big hits. After that, you would always see some sort of play where Fiji won't have any cohesion. The line work, they'll be scattered as well. Then Scotland will find their way through. So for Fiji, for them to capitalize on those dominant tackles, eventually get the turnover, that's where they can start doing better. That's where they can start progressing, getting the dominant tackle, slowing the ball down, starving Scotland of possession, making sure they kick the ball back to Fiji. But Fiji make these dominant tackles, 2 dominant tackles in a row, leave a space open out wide, Scotland go score. So that's just the one thing I noticed. Only 1 dominant tackle for Scotland. They're going to have to work on that. But Fiji is a very dominant team when it comes to physicality. Tackles made, 247 tackles for Fiji. Scotland really made Fiji work today. 103 tackles for Scotland. So Scotland didn't really have to do that much work off the ball today. They did their work off the ball well to be able to earn the ball and play with the ball the way they did. 35 tackles missed for Fiji. Unacceptable, but Italy had 42 missed tackles, so maybe those two could play against each other now, and I think Fiji would probably beat Italy today. 10 tackles missed for Scotland, 13 turnovers, 1 for Fiji, 5 turnovers, 1 for Scotland, 6 tackle turnovers for Fiji, and 4 for Scotland. So they did get the turnovers, they just didn't capitalize on it. So Fiji just needs to be a little bit better with how they capitalize on these things. I know we love how Fiji plays, the sunny ball passes, throwing the ball around carelessly, but there is a time and a place for that. If it's a guaranteed try scoring opportunity or guaranteed line break opportunity, do it. But I do feel sometimes they just force something when it's not there because it is their DNA for rugby. So very interesting side of the kind of coin I'm seeing here from Fiji. I can see that there's so much potential just looking at the stuff like this. They just need to iron a few things out in their game. Looking at the best players on the day, 10 points for Jamie Dobie, 2 tries for him as well. Josh Bayliss with 19 carries. And I'll say this again, Josh Bayliss really impresses me every single time he plays. He was good against the Springboks last week. He was good this week as well. He's a physical player without being the most physically dominant player. He's fast, he's busy. He almost could be like a Kwagga Smith for this team right now, like a Nick Timoney for this team, like who's the guy, Wallace Atiti for this team. He can be one of those guys that can come off the bench, make a good impact, make a few good runs, make a few good plays as well, and really impose himself on the game in different ways than just doing it physically. Ilya Kanakaivata with 23 tackles completed for Fiji. So the Fijian players forced to work off the ball. I mean, if you see a lot of tackles like that completed and the scoreboard's going the other way, it shows they had to make those tackles. Otherwise, the scoreboard would have been a bit higher. 4 line breaks for Duan van der Merwe. You have to give him his plaudits. He was absolutely awesome today. He was sprinting the entire game, work rate off his wing, line breaks. He maybe sometimes doesn't have the 100-meter pace to skin some of those guys, but those Fijian players are athletes. They are very fast as well. So a very good game for Duan van der Merwe. 4 line breaks. Joshua Tuisova with 3 turnovers, 1. Josh Bayless, once again, kind of imposing himself like a Quagga Smith type of a player who I think he can do that from the bench. 8 defenders beaten. Of course, George Horn with 85 successful passes. Just trying to look at some of the other stats here. So Josh Bayless, 19 carries. Tom Jordan, who was very busy today, 16 carries, and he's playing with a lot more confidence right now. Gregor Brown with 16 carries. Looking at some of the other things, meters carried, Duan van der Merwe, 143 meters carried. He was all over today, and that just proves that almost like a Harry Potter type of player today who was sensational for the Wallabies. Celestino Ravataimado with 69 meters carried, and Ollie Smith with 65 meters carried for Scotland. Line breaks, Duan van der Merwe with 4. The next guys is Joshua Tuisova with 1. And of course, looking at the offloads, 5 offloads with Tom Jordan, 3 for Stafford McDowell, and Ravataimado with 2 as well. Defenders beaten, Josh Bayless 8, Tom Jordan, who was everywhere it seems, with 5, and Duan van der Merwe with 5. And those are the players that stood out to me. Josh Bayless, Tom Jordan, and Duan van der Merwe. They were really good today for Scotland. They were busy. They were all over the park as well. Josh Bayless even got himself a try assist as well. Looking at some of the defensive guys here, I mean, all the Fijian players had to tackle. I mean, the top 3 are Fijian players. Sanatai Vata with 27 tackles made. Frank Lomani, the scrum off, with 21. Something's wrong in their defensive structures if the scrum off is having to make 21 tackles. That's just how it is. Mayanai Vanua with 20 tackles as well. So all of those guys over 20 tackles. Juita Wainakola with 4 tackles missed. Frank Lomani with 4 tackles missed. Mayanai Vanua again with 4 tackles missed. So a lot of tackles missed, but a lot of tackle opportunities as well. Fiji were forced to work today, and that's how you can beat a team like Fiji. Scotland played the game very smart today. They had possession, they had territory, they controlled the entire game, especially in the second half. They forced Fiji to work. In the first half, Fiji did very well of kind of keeping Scotland away from using their strengths, but in the second half, it was just like a battering ram the whole time, and eventually the damn wall broke. Of course, the scoreboard doesn't look that bad for a damn wall breaking, but if this game went on any longer, the scoreboard would have been a lot worse. So a very much improved performance from Scotland over the last 3 weeks. They were very good against Argentina, really good against South Africa, and in the second half today, they were very clinical as well. For Fiji, they will be very disappointed. They thought they could have beaten Wales. They probably could have tried to get a win today, and I mean, that performance against England was unacceptable, but it will just take a little bit more time for Fiji to get where they need to be. But please let me know which players you thought were your man of the match today. For me, I'm going with Duan van der Merwe, maybe Josh Bayless as well, but I'm going with Duan van der Merwe. He stood out to me. He was awesome today. Let me know your man of the match down below. Let me know which players stood out to you the most. Thank you so much for all the support. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.